Right now, Dreamers rally to show their support for the program that protects immigrants brought to the U.S. as children as the Supreme Court weighs in.
And an update from a Rock County murder trial and the security footage prosecutors are pointing to.
Plus, a man is upset the suspect who burglarized his home is back on the streets committing more crimes. What the DA has to say.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 6.
But first tonight, breaking news from our Channel 3000 Alert Center. Unitypoint Health says it no longer has plans to merge with South Dakota-based Sanford Health. According to a news release sent about 30 minutes ago, Unitypoint says it had been seriously considering the merger over the last few months, but today decided it will not be moving forward with that partnership. And we have an alert day in the forecast for single-digit temperatures tonight.
And after that, another alert day for more accumulating snow. That would be tomorrow. And Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti joins us to share just how much we might get, Gary.
Well, first we have to get through the cold tonight. In fact, we've already had record cold last night and this morning. Last night, just before midnight, the temperature dropped to 9 degrees in Madison. That tied the record low of 9 for November 11th. And this morning, we dropped to 4 degrees above zero. That broke the record of 7 set back in 1986. Current temperatures have continued to drop. We're down to 14 in Madison. Notice Monroe is already down to 9 in Dubuque, Iowa. We'll be looking at temperatures in the single digits over the next couple of hours. And wind chills right now are in the single digits, barely above zero. A few places will drop below zero before too long. Temperatures will fall into the single digits by late evening and then start rising overnight. That will lead to snow tomorrow that could accumulate 1 to 3 inches through much of southern and eastern Wisconsin through tomorrow evening. So look for those temperatures to rise overnight. Light snow develops tomorrow morning and continues through tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening with a high of 27. Later, I'll take a look at a forecast that does bring some improvement in our temperatures.
Gary, thanks. Today, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments on the challenges to the Trump administration's decision to end DACA.
Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, a program created by President Obama in 2012, protects the 700,000 undocumented immigrants brought here as children from being deported. Amanda Quintana is here with more on the local fight to keep it.
It was very cold out there today, and still hundreds of students, college and high school, walked out of class to march miles and stand outside the Capitol and chant in the hopes that their voices are heard, DACA is saved, and the estimated 8,000 recipients in Wisconsin are protected.
At a time when these students should be focused on their next exam, they're worried about deportation.
I have so many friends that are on DACA, and I see them suffer every day because they're afraid of coming to school and even coming outside, being outside where they are in their communities, you know.
If it's not fear for themselves, it's for their friends, even their own families.
This topic really hits home specifically because my sister had DACA for about 5 years. So I just feel like, I don't know, I kind of need to be here.
I have some cousins that's going to be affected by this if this passes, that no DACA no more. So I'm just here to support them.
Many feeling the only way they can help is this. Walking miles in the cold to stand for something bigger than themselves.
Not only going out to marches when it affects them directly, but when it doesn't, it's important. So it's truly beautiful to see so many people out here in the cold and sticking with it.
Their goal is to defend DACA, keeping their families and friends protected and here to stay.
Trump, escucha, estamos en la lucha.
While fighting the idea that recipients are, quote, hardened criminals, a statement by the president just this morning.
My sister's a teacher in Chicago. She has her master's degree, graduated from UW-Madison. She is not a criminal. Neither is the thousands of people that are being put in jeopardy if DACA is taken away.
Today is a day of action, rallies and marches like this one taking place all over the country, including in Milwaukee. All of them joining in solidarity to try to protect their neighbors, and a decision isn't expected from the Supreme Court for several weeks.
Amanda, thank you.
Developing tonight, the former executive director of a Madison-based nonprofit faces a tentative charge of felony theft from a business. Detectives started investigating 40-year-old Jessica Grunich earlier this year after being contacted by concerned staff at NAMI, Wisconsin, Wisconsin. That is a grassroots mental health organization. Their investigation found Grunich used a NAMI credit card to make a large number of unauthorized purchases, including hotel rooms, rental cars, moving expenses, and restaurant bills.
It's day 2 in the trial for one of the 3 men facing charges in connection to a drug deal that became a fatal shooting in Fitchburg last year. 20-year-old Julian Patterson was killed in the shooting on Anton Drive. 19-year-old Gary Mays is charged with party to the crime of first-degree intentional homicide, felony murder, and party to a crime of armed robbery. A mistrial was declared in January after the jury failed to reach a verdict. 19-year-old Joshua McInnes pleaded guilty to first-degree intentional homicide in the case and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Witnesses are continuing to testify in a Rock County homicide trial this evening. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter has been following the case from the beginning and joins us with the latest from day 2.
Well, this trial will determine whether or not Jacob Davenport is guilty in the murder of 28-year-old James Thompson in Beloit last February. Now, last February, Thompson was found dead in his car on Beloit's west side, and after about 2 months of searching for a suspect, Davenport was taken into custody in the state of Texas. Today, prosecutors focus on the security footage that those who know Davenport say puts him at the scene.
In the video, it brought me instantly to, dang, I've seen that red hoodie before. Let me keep watching. And then I continually kept watching, and then I seen the shoes, and then when he turned around, that's when I said, that's Jake.
Now, so far, the defense has not had their turn to call witnesses to the stand, but I did catch up with the Thompson family earlier today, and they say they are hopeful that a verdict can be reached by the end of the week.
Adam Duxter reporting tonight. Adam, thank you.
New at 6, construction work on Buckeye Road has been delayed due to weather. Work is finished between Monona and Lakeview drives, but crews are still working to install traffic markings and signs between Morningside Avenue and Stoughton Road. That stretch remains closed and temporary asphalt is down for now. The city engineering official says permanent asphalt will be put down in the spring when the ground thaws. There were no injuries in a house fire in the town of Bristol this morning. It took some extra work to extinguish it due to the chilly weather. Extra departments were called out to that home on the northeast of Sun Prairie on East Branch Road about 6 o'clock. It gave firefighters the ability to rotate in and out of the single-digit temperatures. Crews had to take extra precautions to make sure trucks and hoses would not freeze up.
A new report from the Department of Public Instruction shows most Wisconsin schools are meeting or exceeding expectations. According to report cards released today, 87% of schools met or exceeded those expectations, and that's up 84% from last year. The only district with the lowest one-star rating was Mercer School District in northern Wisconsin. According to a national assessment released 2 weeks ago, Wisconsin has the widest academic achievement gap of any state between black and white students. A man who had his home burglarized several months ago said when he saw this mugshot of DeMonte Tillman for burglarizing another home, he was frustrated.
And Jamie Perez found some answers for him and others who have been Tillman's alleged victims. She tells us why he is still on the streets, Jamie.
Well, Tillman actually just turned 17 this year, meaning he can now be tried as an adult. Right now, he has 9 open cases dating back to April. Today, I asked the district attorney how and why, after being charged with multiple felonies and misdemeanors, Tillman is still out there making more victims of his crimes.
Burglar came in through the front door at about 11:30, and he walked over to this area. He picked up my wife's wallet and phone and purse.
Brett Sprecher says he had his home burglarized in May by 17-year-old DeMonte Tillman. Sprecher wasn't Tillman's first victim or his last.
Misdemeanor theft, hit and run of an attendant vehicle, and felony bail jumping. Okay, so they let him out again. Here's the next one. He's charged with obstructing an officer, felony bail jumping 3 times, and then here we go again for the last one, operating a motor vehicle without owner's consent, felony bail jumping.
Sprecher said he's frustrated to see Tillman's charges adding up when he felt he shouldn't have been let out of jail after he was given several chances to correct his behavior.
After the second or third time, they should have made it very hard for him to get out of jail.
District Attorney Ishmael Ozan explained that even though he has made recommendations that would make it more difficult, the decision rests in the judge's hands each time.
In 7 of those 9 instances, we have actually asked at initial appearance for cash bail. We did not get any cash bail until the last case.
Cash bond is now set at $1,000 per case for his most recent arrest for suspicion of burglarizing a home last week. Before that, Tillman was able to get out on signature bond every time.
How many times are they going to give the guy?
In the adult system, a court commissioner or a judge would decide whether a person gets bail, whether that's a recognizance bond, basically a signature bond, or what other conditions they're going to have as a condition of their release.
Sprecher said he hopes this cash bond is enough this time to keep him off the streets, so no more victims have to go through what he went through.
Until something happens where he's stuck in jail for a long time or there's consequences, nothing's going to change.
According to the clerk of courts, Tillman has not paid his cash bond, and he is still sitting in jail. His next court appearance is next week.
All right, Jamie Perez reporting tonight. Jamie, thank you. Next at 6, a public hearing is underway for the City of Madison's 2020 budget.
And Wisconsin lawmakers approve a controversial resolution to recognize National Bible Week. We'll have more from the Capitol.
Right now, the Madison Common Council is hearing public testimony on the 2020 budget. It prioritizes affordable housing, transportation, sustainability, and racial equity. So far, the city is not planning on spending more money on additional police officers, but tonight, alders will take up amendments that could change that and also add firefighters. There is $200,000 being proposed to create a police auditor position, and there's still money up for grabs. We'll tell you how the council will spend it tonight on News 3 now at 10. Dane County homeowners will see a small increase in their property tax bill. The county board passed the 2020 budget for the county last night. That'll mean a $25 tax increase in the county portion of your tax bill, your property tax bill for the average homeowner. The budget includes more funding for mental health services and prioritizes affordable housing and homeless prevention services. In response to last summer's historic flooding, it also includes millions to purchase land in flood-prone areas.
A secular group is criticizing state lawmakers for recognizing National Bible Week in Wisconsin. The state assembly overwhelmingly passed a resolution today declaring Thanksgiving week as National Bible Week. The resolution says reading the Bible has contributed to the moral fiber of society. The Madison-based national nonprofit Freedom from Religion Foundation is calling the resolution inappropriate. But Republican leaders are defending the move, saying they've recognized other religions in past sessions.
We have done these in the past. I think we recognize people of all faiths. I certainly think that having us recognize it as National Bible Week, since many of us are Christians, it doesn't mean that, we should recognize that, just like I'm not Jewish, but I certainly celebrate the Jewish faith and people who want to practice that.
So for the Assembly to consider a resolution basically endorsing one holy book over another is totally inappropriate. And it's also inappropriate for the legislature to endorse religion over non-religion.
The Assembly also passed a resolution declaring the evergreen tree that will go up in a few weeks as a Christmas tree, despite criticism from Democrats. Governor Tony Evers called the evergreen a holiday tree last week. The Assembly also approved a bill intended to help the state's industrial hemp program. The bipartisan bill will realign the state's program with new requirements under the 2018 federal farm bill. It's designed to help farmers, hemp processors, retailers, and consumers as the state's program enters its second year. The bill passed the Senate last month, so it now goes to the governor's desk.
A bill to stiffen penalties for repeat drunk drivers is dead. The bill would have increased minimum prison time for a fifth or sixth offense from 6 months to 18 months. Prison officials estimated the change would cost almost $14 million a year in operating costs. The Senate passed the bill last week, but today in the Assembly, Democrats objected to Republican efforts to place the bill on the agenda. Governor Evers has signed an executive order requiring state agencies to develop and implement equity and inclusion action plans. It also requires mandatory equity and inclusion training for all state employees. Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes called Wisconsin's racial disparities when it comes to education, health care, and violence, quote, downright embarrassing. The executive order also creates the Governor's Advisory Council on Equity and Inclusion.
Next at 6, very cold tonight and more snow coming tomorrow.
But Gary says there is some light at the end of the tunnel. Temperatures should get closer to normal by next week. We'll have the latest. Stay with us.
Well, I suppose it's small consolation, but we weren't alone in seeing the record cold temperatures this morning. These are from the major reporting stations around here, and everyone with an asterisk set a record low temperature. Dubuque, Iowa dropped to 5 degrees below zero. They broke their old record by 11 degrees. Here in Madison, our low of 4 above zero broke the record of 7 set back in 1986. But also, look at the high temperatures for today. The ones with the asterisks set record low high temperatures. Milwaukee only reached 19, Dubuque, Iowa 13. Chicago and Rockford broke their record low high temperature by 11 degrees today. Here in Madison, our record low high temperature was 16. We were 1 degree above that at 17. Notice the cross. They were at 21 because there's not very much snow on the ground around there. Low temperatures this morning across all of southern Wisconsin were in the single digits, and in some cases like Platteville were below zero. I don't think we're going to get that cold tonight because temperatures will start rising later on, but that will lead to snow for tomorrow with about a 1 to 3 inch swath through much of southern and eastern Wisconsin. I don't see any really heavy bands of snow with this, and it'll be mainly from late tomorrow morning or mid tomorrow morning through early tomorrow evening. Live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison. Pretty quiet around here, but it is cold. As I mentioned, the high 17, the low temperature a record at 4 degrees above zero, and right now we're sitting at 14 degrees as temperatures continue to drop. Skies are clear, the wind chill's at 4, so as long as those skies stay clear, the temperatures will drop. Then eventually as the clouds move in, they'll start rising later on tonight. 3 things to know: very cold temperatures this evening, but then after those single-digit temperatures, we'll actually see the temperatures rise overnight, although winds will pick up and wind chills could stay around zero for much of the time. Light snow will develop tomorrow with about 1 to 3 inches through tomorrow evening, and then after that we'll see a slow moderation in temperatures. Will still stay below normal through this weekend and through the rest of this week and through the weekend, but by early next week we could see high temperatures in the lower 40s. Weather track shows how deep the cold air has gotten all the way down now to the Gulf Coast, and you can see much of the eastern part of the country. Heavy lake effect snows are kicking in downwind from the eastern Great Lakes. But out to our west, there is a warm front. Slightly milder conditions are on the other side of that warm front. Temperatures are in the teens here, but notice on the other side of the warm front, they climb into the lower 30s. It'll be a slow process, but we'll probably make the 30s by the time we get to Friday, although, again, or Thursday and Friday, but again, temperatures will still be below normal until early next week. I'm looking for a low temperature of 7 this evening, then temperatures rising overnight as skies turn cloudy. We could see a couple of flurries toward morning. Tomorrow, look for a high temperature of 27 degrees, which will be about a 10-degree improvement over today, but we'll see light snow with about 1 to 3 inches of accumulation through tomorrow evening. On future track, the clouds will move in. That will cause those temperatures to start rising, so by morning we'll be back in the mid-teens. Highs tomorrow, mid-20s, with most of the snow in the afternoon and early evening hours. That will wind down tomorrow evening, and then by morning, skies will start to clear out with temperatures in the upper teens, and then we're back to sunshine on Thursday with high temperatures eventually in the lower 30s. Again, the snowfall amounts about 1 to 3 inches from late tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon to tomorrow evening. After that, 7 to 10 day forecast. Look for those temperatures to gradually go up a degree or 2 each day into early next week. Then we'll see a little cool down toward the end of the week, but no major storm systems are expected.
Craig Counsell of the Brewers had a remarkable season, but is he the National League Manager of the Year? We'll let you know in sports. A couple of Brewers were hoping to pick up some of baseball's top awards this week. Christian Yelich is a finalist for National League Most Valuable Player. That'll be announced Thursday. Today, National League Manager of the Year, and it's not Craig Counsell. He finished second to St. Louis Cardinals manager Mike Shildt, even though Counsell had 3 more first-place votes than Shildt did. Counsell led the Brewers to an 89-73 record this season, a spot in the National League wildcard game, even though they lost Christian Yelich for the final month of the season with a broken kneecap. The Badger men's basketball team has a 6 o'clock start at the Kohl Center tomorrow night. McNeese State is the opponent. The Badgers have split their first 2 games this season against St. Mary's and Eastern Illinois, but they haven't shot the ball very well. They've only made 40% of their shots and only 22% of their 3-point attempts. But junior guard Dimitri Trice says, don't sweat it, it's only 2 games.
I think that we're getting really good looks for the most part, and I think that throughout the course of the season, I think they'll fall down. I'm not really worried. I think that we're getting enough shots up, and I think that if we stay the course, I think they'll go down.
Badger football travels to Nebraska Saturday for an 11 a.m. kickoff on BTN. When Nebraska came into the Big Ten Conference in 2011, it was a big deal. People thought Wisconsin-Nebraska would develop into a great football rivalry. Well, the jury's still out. Paul Chryst is 4-0 against the Huskers as head coach, and the Badgers are 7-1 against Nebraska since they came to the Big Ten. A lot of people in Nebraska have taken offense to a comment from Badger linebacker Zach Bond about the rivalry and the battle for the Freedom Trophy. Here's what Bond said. You decide.
I think it was a big rivalry back before we had the trophy, so they created the trophy, and now it hasn't left here, so I don't know if it's much of a rivalry anymore.
The Packers' next game after their bye week is in San Francisco November 24th, and that game has been flexed to Sunday Night Football. So instead of the 3:25 p.m. kickoff, it's now on Sunday Night Football at 7:20 Central Time a week from Sunday. Davante Adams can certainly use the bye week to get even healthier. He says his toe is still sore, even though he caught 7 passes for 118 yards against Carolina Sunday. That extra week of rest should help everyone, but especially Davante Adams.
Everybody still needs to take advantage of this week off, training-wise and treatment-wise, different things. I know I'll be in town all week, just making sure I'm continuing to get back so I can feel 1,000 or 3,000,000% like myself.
Of course, the 49ers lost last night. They're still the #1 seed in the NFC, though, right now. The Packers and Seahawks both next at 8-2, but the Packers have the #2 seed because they're a division leader. This is the Carolina Hurricanes pregame TV show in Montreal. Doesn't look like anything out of the ordinary, right? But just a guy talking hockey. But a closer look to the left side of the screen shows a burglary. A fan holding an ice cream cone has the cone pilfered by another fan. Now, there's some question whether the whole thing was a setup and those guys all knew each other based on what looks like some subpar acting, but if in fact they were acting. But bottom line is, watch out, someone might be trying to steal your ice cream. I don't know. Look kind of hokey, but
bigger, better grip on that one.
yeah,
Come on.
Killed some time on the show, so you know.
Wouldn't have to worry about it melting tonight, though. Now with those temperatures in the mid-teens and wind chills right now in the single digits.
All right, Gary, thanks. Thanks for joining us at 6.
Enjoy your evening. We'll see you back here at 10.